Hi everyone, going to have another beautiful conversation with my very good friend Anne Tucker. And welcome to the channel. It's an absolute joy to be with you again. We've had several conversations. We always love them. We always kind of go over the jumps, and this is going to be really special. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And as we get started, I just want to make sure everybody notices my t-shirt. So I'm sitting back so you guys can see it. I bought the Pam is doing this amazing fundraiser and where all the proceeds are going to these orphanages. And the t-shirt. So I love it. It's soft. It's really comfortable. The fit is very accurate. And they have all these different things you can choose from. So anyways, I just wanted to show off my new t-shirt
Oh,
and you
no,
can
I
find
was
them
so
where?
touched because we just hopped onto Zoom and, I saw Anne wearing the t-shirt and,
Yeah, she didn't know I was going to wear it,
I
but
didn't know, and before we get into your wonderful work, yeah, I was just saying to Anne, T-Mill only started to pay us on the 31st of July because they pay a month in arrears, so we're only kind of a week or so into being paid. But I hope quite soon I can make a donation to the Nepalese orphanage, and then the next one would be the disabled children in Malawi, and we're starting to roll now, and that's really thrilling. So
oh,
thank you
so
so much
exciting.
for your support.
Well, it's really cool to be part of it. It's really cool to know that I'm a small part of that contribution to those very, very meaningful causes. So yeah, so thank you.
Special. Well, welcome. Now, for anyone who doesn't know Anne, she's an amazing healer, spiritual teacher, channeler, author, and really dedicated to people, helping people through this huge transition, these evolutionary times. And she does that with enormous skill, I have to say. I was just saying to Anne before we started to record that she's extremely good at sharing inspiration, but also practical steps. Okay, what do we do with this inspiration? How do we make it real? You're really good at that. You're
Thank
the
you.
creator of Soul Convergence, a global healing community, and I really see you as one of the main voices, one of the main guides for New Earth in these times. So what we're going to be talking about is Anne's hot off the press new book, The Map to New Earth, which I was just saying I actually read in one straight sitting yesterday. And I had a couple of other things to do, so that's a great compliment to Anne.
Thank you so much. That actually means so much to me. It really does. And we were joking about that this is not like this is a book about big, deep concepts. It's about, the structure of the universe and growth in, across the cosmos and all this kind of stuff. And so the fact that it's fun to read, that you read through it, I mean, to me, like, yeah, that makes me feel really, really happy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're huge concepts in this. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely cosmic concepts. But what
Yeah.
you do extremely well is you structure it very clearly, but also
Thank you.
you write really clearly. So it's very accessible. It's never kind of heavy going or dense. I just kept going and going and going. And I thought a lot of the language was exquisite. It was really poetic. And I'm going to be quoting some sections from the book because I thought it was just absolutely beautiful. And it's kind
Thank
of about the expansion of the universe and the expansion of our souls, isn't it, Anne? So
Yes. Yes.
it's so much I want to ask about this because quite early on in the book, you talk about the 7 stages of soul growth.
Yeah.
And I would love you to talk about those and also where we are currently at in those 7 stages, because everybody will want to know that.
I love it. And so I have to tell you something that's really fun about the 7 stages is that I was the content in this book, I was learning it as I was writing it. So my process is like every morning I would sit down and I would connect and I would be in connection with Isla, who is, for people who don't know me, she is the mother of creation. And so it's like the universe. I think of it as like the universe is her womb space. So she's a part of all of us. And she gave herself the name Isla because it represents the first two energies of the universe, I for will and La for love. So, and those are the two energies that represent our growth, which is really cool. So I'm in connection with her and I was, receiving the information and writing it as I go and loving it. It was, blowing my mind, stuff I'd never even thought about, answers that seemed way beyond the scope of what would be accessible to me. But here it was, and in a way I could understand it. And I was probably 50 pages in of writing when I realized that it really needed to be expressed as a model. Like I started seeing that this was actually going to be better understood as a series of steps and a series in a model. So I thought, okay, back to the drawing board, take everything I'd written, pull it apart, put it into these steps. I realized it was 7 steps. And I thought to myself, I wrote a book 10 years ago that had a model in it with 7 steps. And that is when my brain exploded because I realized here I had been working on this book for 6 months and I did not even know that it was an expansion of the very same model that I downloaded 10 years ago that was in my first book, which is this one, which was about how we create, about which soul type we are and how we work with creative energy. So now that I'm looking at it in retrospect, it makes perfect sense to me that it's the same model because it's all about the process of creation, whether I'm creating a book or you're creating a t-shirt or whether we are creating the universe. It's the exact same process. And that process of creation is it by its very nature a process of growth. So once it all hit me, it was if yes, my brain did explode, but it was also it was the most beautiful feeling because I realized in that moment that this new book was always going to be written, right? It was always there waiting for me. I just didn't know it. And they let me stumble and bumble. They didn't start at the beginning of my writing process and say, we're writing an expansion of the first book. No, they let me discover it. And so I just felt like it's one of those moments where you realize that your whole life is a continuity, that there's purpose in our lives, and that there's no accidents, that everything that happens to you in your life, you might not realize is taking you somewhere, but it is. And then when you get there, it's like, it's so exciting to look back and say, look at that.
And you're
All of
writing
that.
about the evolution of the soul.
Yes.
Right, actually experiencing it. So it's,
Yeah,
it's
experiencing it. Yeah, so okay, so that was that. I just had to share that part because it was such a fun, amazing moment and so validating too for the work, so validating to see this continuity for myself and my to feel like there's a there's a distinct body of work that I'm meant to be working with while I'm here on the planet. So, but yeah, so that it is 7 stages, and the stages represent our process of creation, how we create, but also how our souls grow. And you can take this. One of the things I love about how Isla has taught me was to show me everything sort of in like from the lens of like the Russian dolls, where you have the big doll and then inside it is the littler doll and then the littler doll and then the littler doll. And we are the littlest doll, like we are the last doll. Like we're all the way down here, but our doll looks just the same as the biggest one. Like if you look at all the details, you look at the face, the clothes, everything, it's the same. So if we want to understand the universe, all we got to do is look at ourselves, and it gives us a point of reference to be able to understand everything. So when we get to these 7 stages of growth, we can see it as this evolution, how we work through these 7 stages in all aspects of our life. But then we can also say, okay, what about for our higher self? What about for our soul? What about for the human consciousness? Where are we right now? So, and the answer to that one is so important because we are right now in what Isla refers to as the 5th stage. And it is a pivotal time of shift from sort of the first the where we were really focused on evolving our masculine energy to now we're in a place where we are the transition team leading into a place where the feminine energy is starting to come forward. But what's magic about us, about our role, is that we are the bridge. And so it's like we are the turning point. And so to be incarnated at this time is so incredibly special. And this, during our lifetimes, both realities will coexist. And it is our job to move between them. And so I think about it like, imagine, I just saw a movie the other day, which was super cute. And if I'm so bad with names, I probably shouldn't have even brought it up because now it's just going to show that I don't know the names. But it was a super cute new movie where the guy goes out in space and he's by himself and he meets an alien and they have 2 ships. And the 2 ships, the aliens, they're trying to make contact, and the alien ship pulls up right next to his, and they're this far apart, right? It's just like the 2 realities. We're this far apart, but somebody's got to make the jump. Somebody's got to walk somehow get out of their ship and go up to the other reality. and it's scary. It's a scary moment, but that's us. We are the astronauts that are
Yeah,
gonna
we're the
walk the
bridge
bridge.
builders, we're the pioneers.
Yes.
I've said that. So it was very validating for me because I've said that in so many videos. We're the bridge
Yes.
builders, we're the pioneers, we're the trailblazers, and the
Yes.
canvas is pretty blank because we're creating it. We're creating.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like it's coming from inside of us. It's not a reality that already, like the new earth is literally generated from us.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So that's such an exciting concept. I absolutely loved it. So we're at stage 5,
Yes.
and will we in this lifetime actually move up to stage 6 and 7? Because I
So,
know
and
you're
yeah,
getting
I
big.
love that. I believe we will. And I think it's a thing, it's not all or nothing, that it will be a thing where we have the ability. So there may be some, and I know there's moments in your day, like you talk about how in the morning, how you start your day. And I know you really try to drop in first thing in the day. And in those moments, like you may be in stage 6, stage 7, you may be there. But then we go out and maybe you go get your breakfast ready and you accidentally, burn your toast. And all of a sudden you're like, wonk, you know? And so during our lives, it's natural that as the bridge team, that we will move between them. But it is as a whole, how much time can we spend in that higher octave? And the way I think about it is our evolution is that it is like we have an octave that we exist within, an emotional octave, a range. And then as we evolve and as our soul grows, we slowly drop off those lower frequencies, the lower emotions of, greed, hatred, jealousy, and we slowly evolve where that raises. And as it does, our capacity to feel higher vibrations that maybe we haven't even felt yet starts to open. And so it's like our octave just goes up a bit and then up a bit. And then eventually, yes, we will be living in that new higher state. And from that, I think as the way I understand it from Isla and from the angels is that the new reality, that it's like weaving a tapestry and that we are all co-weaving it together, and that as of now that there are threads on that tapestry, but that is far from complete. But the more that we move into those higher octaves, the more threads we lay down and the more we get to experience it. And I have been experiencing it. I've had crazy telepathic experiences in the last year, unlike anything I've ever had before. And I know and I'm having dreams showing that I had a dream where I was 7 months pregnant, and I had in the dream, which I'm definitely not pregnant. There's no chance I'm pregnant. Like it's not possible. So anyways, but in the dream, I'm 7 months pregnant, and I am standing next to another version of me who was napping on the couch, which I actually was napping on the couch at the time. And the napping version of me also had a pregnant belly that was 7 months pregnant. And I'm leaning over, touching our bellies together because they're communicating telepathically.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I'm having dream after dream after dream showing that we're super close to this. Like that's the idea that, well, I was pregnant in that dream, like it's coming. And
You're birthing the new you. You're birthing the
yeah,
new you.
and the telepathic abilities that are connected to this higher state of consciousness. Yeah. And yeah.
So
So
they are
it's
coming
coming.
in because I've heard you say that you're experiencing extraordinary telepathy.
Yeah.
With your daughter at times, and
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the crazy ones. So it has been with people, it has been with plants, believe it or not. But some of the people ones, which was awesome, was there was one period where I don't know what happened, and I've tried to recreate it and I couldn't. But I was listening to someone talk, and their mouth was talking, and then all of a sudden their heart started speaking to me, and their heart was louder than their verbal voice. It was like it was so loud that I could still follow what they were saying, but the heart voice was literally twice as loud and crisp words in my head speaking to me. And so, yeah, and so it was, what's the heart truly saying? Like the words are like going on and on talking about this situation, and then the heart comes forward and says what it's really feeling. It was amazing. And then another one right after that. And then I haven't been able to recreate it. But I at least I have this glimpse that this is what it might be like. Yeah,
and
amazing.
it really shows that our clairs, because this is coming from the astrology as well, that our clairs are coming online, and so we'll be able to read each other's energy.
Yeah.
without the words, so much more
Yes.
clearly. Well, it'll just be transparent, that there'll be no
Yes.
lies, no dishonesty, because you could see it in the energy field.
Yes.
So clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, if you're listening to another person's heart the way that I was, it was, I mean, what was lovely was that just got right to the root of it. Like what is like all the words are telling a story, but what is the root of the story? And here it is. And it's coming right from the heart. And it's simple, it's straightforward. It's the only thing that really matters. All the rest is just the bubbles on the surface. So yeah, it was amazing.
And when you recently bought some plants from a garden center,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
singing, they were all
And you know,
singing in the car.
what's special about these plants is I have a very large garden, I was telling you, and I had this really cool tree stump in the backyard and it has all these great things growing out of it. And I thought, I'm going to make this tree stump into a statue of Isla, the mother of creation, because how cool is that? So I found this amazing cement face and I put it on there and I was like, I'm going to make this sort of spiral because she talks about the spiral of growth and the spiral of the universe. So I made this spiral coming out and then I went to the plant store and I was buying these really cute little ferns that were going to be part of this statue. So I'm driving home, my car is full of ferns and it's quiet for a moment. And then all of a sudden, no joke, they were singing. And it was so clear and it was so I was sort of mind blown. And I sit there for a minute. I'm like, okay, well, what if I turn it off? If I try not to listen? So I'm like, I kind of shut my ears and then I'm like, okay, can I turn it on again? And boom, there it was again. It was like, and it was this lovely, joyful song. It wasn't like multiple notes. It was one, like the way you hear people talking about angels singing, like, whoa, but it was distinctly the fern. And I was show you want to see a picture of that. Now they're planted. They are the happiest ferns on the planet.
That's so
And
beautiful because this is part of our multidimensionality that more and more of us are going to
yes.
experience. You're just ahead of the pack.
So here's the spiral. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah, it's
And,
beautiful.
and there's Isla's face, and then the spiral comes down, and then these are the ferns right here. So
Beautiful,
yeah,
very happy fern. But you're just demonstrating, Anne, what more and more and more of us are going to be experiencing. The
yeah,
psychic sensitivity, the multidimensionality, the telepathy with all living
yes,
species. It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's just beautiful to see.
It's amazing. It's so exciting, and that's the bridge team. That's what it is to be this is that, and you know what's so fun about being a bridge is we don't take anything for granted. It's all new to us.
Yeah.
So imagine the next generation, they come in and they just, this is normal for them. It's like, it's not special. And so like for us, it's all super special. So we get that thrill, we get the excitement of discovery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the transitions that we alive now will have made in our lives from birth to whenever we pass away, the number of changes are just immense,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
way more
Yeah.
than normal. But I'd love also to talk about because your language is just beautiful. Because you talk about we're evolving the foundation of our co-created reality from the evolution of will to the new experience of New Earth or 5D consciousness. This is a field of reality generated not by will, but by love. And love will be introduced as the foundation of our reality. I'm quoting from your book. And I just thought, wow, that is just so beautiful because you talk a lot about more divine feminine energy coming in. So I'd
Yeah.
love you to talk more about that.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for bringing that up. Yes. So, and there's a whole section in the book talking about this journey from will to into love, that it's like the second energy of the universe. And it is a completely different world to live in an energy, a world built from love. So we are creative beings, right? We create fields of reality. Just like Isla is what is the universe? It's a field. And that's, we call it, I call it her womb, but it's basically a field of energy. And it's governed by, as she says, so the rules and laws that we define as like physics and gravity and stuff like that. But it's like pattern and structure and rhythm. That's the language of our universe. And we also have that creative ability that we inherited through Isla. We inherited that. Every living being has it. We have it. And we generate a field. So we have been co-creating our field of reality, but we've been creating it from these earlier stages of consciousness. So it's all been very, very head-based. So what does that mean? Well, when you're creating from will and you're in the space of of the head that we create from what we already know, is that we project, we reach into our past, we reach into history, we reach into what we've seen before, to what we've experienced before. Even with when we think about the way we've been taught how to manifest, we talk about vision boarding, and we visualize it as if it's already here. But the only way we can visualize something is if we've already seen it before. So we are pulling models, we're pulling images from things that exist that we already have past experience from, which means we are pulling from the past. When we pull from the past, we are bringing in past versions of ourself, which creates our karmic construct, which we are currently living in. It creates the wheel of karma, where we're constantly pulling in our 3-year-old self, our 5-year-old self, the wounds that were tied up in those memories and visions and everything else. So when we move to this new state of consciousness, and there's a lot of the book that talks about like how do we do it? Because I mean, I think that's the most important bit for us, for the transition team, we need to know how. But what the major shift is that it is the journey from the head to the heart, and beginning to generate our field of reality from the heart instead. But the key to making this happen is it is completely anti, like it's not at all what you would think. It's against our expectations. We think we have to work hard to make things happen, when in fact we have to get to a space where we stop working, where we not stop working. We have to stop resisting. We have to recognize where we are fighting against ourselves and fighting against our reality. Like we look out into our world and we say, there's all these things that are wrong. How can we get to the new higher state of consciousness if there is people who are starving, and if there are people who are suffering, and if there are people who are doing really bad things? How can we allow that to continue? We have to fix them. We have to fix reality so that reality can be a higher vibe. When in fact, the shift is a totally internal shift. And it really is about coming to the space where we recognize that everything that exists in our reality is in some way a reflection of us, is a reflection of humanity. And anything that we are in resistance to, we are denying, we are wishing it didn't exist. So we're saying to that inner part of us, saying, I wish you didn't exist. So even like, think of it this way: if there's something out there and you say, boy, there's like the whole Epstein files thing, like horrible, horrible. But there's a part of like, if someone is deeply triggered by that, there may be a part of them that says, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to exist in my world. There's fear inside. And what we're trying to say, I'm just going to kill it. I'm going to kill that part of myself that's afraid by not letting it exist. I'm going to push that down. And my fear that maybe something did happen in a person's life, and it makes them up, it brings all that pain, that fear up. But if we are resisting it, trying to get it to not exist, we are again perpetuating it. So it is counterintuitive, but the goal is to get to the space where we doesn't mean we have to love Epstein at all, but we have to get to the space where we acknowledge that exists, and that we love the part of ourselves which is reflecting. So it's that getting to the space where we set down, we notice our resistance and set it down. And doing that, what it does, our resistance, all it is stuff in the way of our heart. Our resistance is the ways that we fight against ourselves. So when we finally let our resistance down, we achieve what we all keep talking about, which is self-love. Self-love has nothing to do with taking yourself to the spa or getting your nails done, which a lot of people want to sell you stuff. They're like, self-love, buy my product. Like, no, all it means is self-love is not resisting any part of ourselves. It doesn't mean we're perfect by any means. We will never be perfect, because that means dead. It means that there's nothing else to grow. There's no more growth. There's no more movement. So we will always be imperfect. So we just are trying to get to the space where we say, I'm good. Like, I'm okay. I love myself. I love me with all my crazy imperfections. I love myself. I love the person I'm becoming. I love the mistakes I made because they brought me here. Maybe they weren't fun, but I forgive myself the places where maybe I made bad choices, and I recognize I grew because of that. And I love that about me. And I can get to that space where I soften. And as I do, everything that's in front of my heart just falls away. And all of a sudden, that creates coherence in our field, and coherence between our left and our right side, our masculine and our feminine energy. And that coherence, boom, we connect. And that brings through source energy right through us, and a brand new field of reality is generated from our heart chakra. So the field of creation moves from here to here. And that's the journey in a nutshell. So exciting, so accessible to us.
Yeah, and you describe all of that just so infinitely clearly in the book. That's what I love. In fact, many of the things I've tried to say in videos, you have actually expressed far more simply and clearly than I think I have. So, but you talk
Thank
a
you.
lot about coherence, peace from the inside out. And when your heart is full, no longer seeking answers outside yourself, so chaos can't get in. And you
Yes.
talk about this internal sense of coherence so that you radiate harmony from within. Internal coherence creates coherence in our reality, which I've been saying for months too, but you say it so
Yeah.
clearly. And once you're more stable, I'm reading from Anne's book here, once you're more stable with that internal coherence, you can hold strong and are not affected by the lower frequency of others.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that amazing to think about? That it is literally when we get to the space that we are filled with our own light, when we no longer are reaching into another person's field looking for completion or validation or love, when we recognize that everything we have ever been looking for, we've been trying to receive it from ourselves, even love. Like all we have ever really wanted isn't the love of another, it's the love of ourselves. That's all we ever wanted. And then once we finally give it to ourselves, then our field becomes the perfection of separation. We become whole. And that is what opens us up to unity. Yeah.
And that was very interesting also what you were saying about separation, because you talk about separation as perfection and that being a necessary part of it.
Yes.
You used an analogy of the murmuration of the starlings. And that would
Yes.
be lovely for you to share so people understand this issue of perfect separation as part of the
Yeah.
whole. Because it's very
Yeah. Thank you.
very Aquarian energy, actually, which I'll come
Ah,
on to afterwards.
I love that. Yeah. And if you have ever seen, I'm sure you've seen one either like if you've ever seen starlings fly together, or if you've ever seen a school of fish like sardines flowing together in the ocean, and they flow as one, and they're mesmerizing to watch, just measure the starlings in the sky. It's just you could just sit there and watch them for hours, and they just the way that they fluid, and they literally look like one being, but they're not. They're all these separate. And how do they do it? How do they do it? And I think about that with us and our current reality, and I realized, okay, so what if there was a starling up there flying with all the other birds, who was flying along, but who had not yet achieved that sense of inner oneness, that they weren't yet settled within themselves. And they were looking to everybody else to say, hey, am I doing it right? How are my wings? What do you think? Like, am I a good bird? Am I a good bird or a bad bird? Do you like me? Like, or if they were angry at the other birds and like, you're in my lane, get out, I need more space, whatever. Like, if they were not saying, like that they had not gotten to the space where they're like, okay, I'm good, I'm whole, they would be up there bumping into all the other starlings, which is what we do as humans. So we go out into the world and somebody honks and immediately we jump because we think, oh, was it me? You know what I mean? Because we are allowing other people to define our mood, our feeling. We're allowing other people, rather than somebody in a perfect world, when we achieve the perfection of our wholeness, someone will honk and we might become alert because you're meant to, but there won't be that fear response of like, oh gosh, someone's mad at me, you know? And that's because it won't matter. It will no longer affect you because you will no longer receive that. You will be full. You'll be full of light, your own light. So this is the idea that what makes the starlings able to fly the way they do is not that they have healed separation, because we've often think about it that way, that we're trying to get away from polarity and away from, that we have to get rid of the current reality to get the new reality. And what Isla is saying in this book is we have to go through it. We have to go through separation. We have to perfect separation, that we want to become the perfect expression of our own wholeness, not perfect, but the perfection of expression of our truth. And that is what allows us to fly with the other starlings, that we maintain our perfect space bubble because we're not reaching into other people's space bubble looking for what we need. And so that to me, I think, is a really a good visual way of understanding what we're doing now. And then to also recognize in our own day, when am I being a perfect starling and when am I not?
When am
Like,
I going to needy or victim or whatever? But yeah, it's
yes.
such a great way to express the Aquarian energy, because the Aquarian energy is all about discovering your unique essence in a bigger, deeper way than you've ever done before. So
Oh,
that's the
I didn't
separation.
know that.
But then giving your gift back to the whole, back to the
I
collective,
love
back to the group,
that.
back to the community. So it sounds quite paradoxical, but it's exactly what you've been describing with your analogy, which is a brilliant analogy of
I
the
am
child.
so glad you shared that because I don't think people talk about that piece of the Aquarian energy that much. It's all about the communal and the whole and stuff like that. People, I had never heard that first piece put, and I think yes, I mean it is exactly what we're talking about. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so it's perfect. What you're sharing was astrologically absolutely perfect. We're in. So yeah, and it's so interesting in talking about stillness, which is what you were, the fact that you're defining New Earth as a state of being, which is something again I've often said, but the simplicity of all of this being an inside job, because I think we continually think, we've got 1,000 million problems out there and we've got to fix all of them, but actually it's just a shift of perception, which is
Yes.
actually quite simple
Yes.
once you kind of get the idea. And I love the way you talk about growth happens in stillness. To let
Yes.
go inspires the divine to enter into this union. It's absolutely beautiful language, and the new freedom will enable us to create something entirely new, emerging not from who we've been, but from who we've become in that new state. I thought that was just exquisite, actually. Um,
Oh,
and so,
thank
that's the shift, isn't it? It's the surrendering, not as a giving up, but it's a letting go of all
yes.
the angst and the externals and the outer world, to drop into that state of coherence and stillness, and then you create from that point, because that's
Yeah.
truly where your power lies and your creativity lies. And I think you
Yeah.
just expressed it just absolutely beautifully, because you said masculine energy moves in waves while feminine energy is still and ever present. And from the stillness of the feminine, our infinite creative potential emerges.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
beautiful language, become centered in the moment. Beautiful language. And you really draw very clearly the contrast between the way we've lived our lives in a very yang masculine way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
linearity and appointments and diaries stuffed with things, and stressed and rushed and driven by time. And what
Yeah.
we're actually sharing very clearly here is the map for New Earth.
Yes, yeah. And hopefully breaking it down into a way where people realize how accessible it is to us. That it isn't it, you don't have to know math, right? You don't have to speak the language of the universe. You don't have to be anything other than human. As a human, you are uniquely equipped for this journey. And so it's really understanding our own equipment. It's understanding us and shaking free from some of the cultural biases, from the belief that we have to think about like the go 80s and work hard play hard and the tech bros and you know what I mean, all this kind of stuff where it's even like the march of AI and progress, and it's all about doing faster and going faster. And there's still the belief system, I think, very heavy in our world that if you leave something and you don't have the next thing lined up, then you've already lost, you know. And that to me is so, that by itself says so much because it shows how we have written out our understanding of how divine feminine energy works entirely. And that is what keeps us on the karmic wheel. That there is meant to be in our creative process this moment, the void, the stillness that comes at the end of that, finishing anything. And at least in our Western cultures, we rarely give ourselves that moment. And when I first started working with Isla and the angels, one of the things that they really started harping on me about this about 2 years ago, the angels did, that I'd never celebrated, that I would finish something and then I would be obsessive when I was working on it. I would just work and work and work and work and work. And then I would finish and I would feel almost depressed that it was over because I was sort of in a river and then I was out of the river and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I never took a moment to celebrate. And so they were starting to tell me, you got to celebrate your wins, you got to do things. And it was so foreign to me But I started building it in, and I was able to connect with what that energy feels like. Finally, it took a little work, actually. Believe it or not, it's weird. It's weird how it's hard for us to enjoy ourselves. Why is that? Like, why is we are so darn hard on ourselves? But it took me a while to figure out, oh, this is what it feels like when you just enjoy it. Oh, okay. But that moment of celebration is the moment that you allow the stillness to come in. And it's only in the stillness that you actually set everything down, and you contract your consciousness back from the spectrum of time back into the now moment. And this is the place where all of a sudden you can gestate something brand new that is not coming from the past. So this is an essential, and understanding this, like I go into this in depth in the book, because understanding this is critical for getting off the karmic wheel. Like we can, and I have actually healed myself of my karma already in this lifetime. I've had dreams confirming it. And it is all about learning to come into this place of stillness. And doing so, I healed my dietary issues. I can have dairy and gluten and all the things now. And I never thought I was going to be able to have that, but it was killed my karma. Here's a hand. I had a guide in my dream handing me an ice cream cone. I was like, yes.
Really? Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But so it's very possible. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Anyone. And it's really just understanding this concept of allowing ourselves to come back into the now moment and to open up uh to the stillness, and to allow our next moment to come from who we are right now, not who we were 40 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just so beautiful because we can all find ways to drop into stillness, whether it's,
Yeah.
whether it's breath work, whether it's candle gazing, whether it's hugging a
Yes.
tree, whether, what you find your easy way, your default way to do that. But so often when, I can just drop into bliss, particularly when you wake up in the morning and you haven't opened your eyes yet and you can just hear the birds singing and,
Yes.
soft pillow and it's all blissful and cozy and you don't want to open your eyes, and those times where you can really milk that bliss, that stillness, that's
Yeah.
often where I get my best ideas.
I
Ping.
love that. Yes, there you go. Because you're in that void space. You're
Yeah,
listening,
poetic.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. My
poetic.
guide recently told me to stop talking to myself all the time. Because I'd go about my day, I'd be in the garden and I would just be blah, 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 like talking to myself. And they were like, you need to listen more. Because how can we speak to you? How can you have these downloads if you're talking all the time? By the way, I want to clarify that I have killed my karma. That doesn't mean I'm fully healed. Like I will always have stuff to work on, always. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun of it. You know what I mean? That I still have stuff comes up that is like, here's something you could work on. It's just the specific karma I assign myself in this lifetime that I needed to move through. But there's always ways we can grow and become more enlightened. Yeah.
But it's interesting, in our cultures we've been so encouraged to feel guilty about doing nothing,
Yeah.
guilty about
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why aren't you
Yeah.
doing something, achieving, driving the business forward, whatever it is? So, it takes some time just to accept that that's the most potent place to be
Yeah.
for love, for creativity, for growth. That's the place to be. It's like the power of now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you really describe it. I just thought poetically. I kept going, oh wow, because you talked about Isla and her path is presence, not persuasion.
Yes. Yes.
And that,
Oh, that
I
was a
think,
zinger. Yeah.
radiant presence, I thought that's, because we notice it in some advanced evolved people when they enter a room and they haven't
Yeah.
even spoken and they've got kind of radiant presence, they just shine.
Yeah.
They shine love. And there were just some great lines in this. So, yeah, and our state of being is what will dictate what happens next. Because,
Yes.
and again, that's a quote from you. And if you think of how the yogis operated,
Yeah.
they just dropped into meditation for hours and hours and hours and then created from there. So, yeah, it's very beautiful. So you're very clear in describing that New Earth is not a place to go, a destination. We haven't got to get on a bus or a plane or any of that.
A spaceship, right?
A
Yeah.
spaceship even. It's an internal shift of. It's really an expanded perception, isn't it? It's dropping from head to
Yes.
heart, but it's then a sense of stillness, creating expanded perception.
Absolutely. Like one way I like to think about it that I think makes it really accessible is the idea that in our 3D reality, as we call, I just use those terms because those are the terms we have become familiar with. But in our current reality, it is a little bit like we are in a house looking out a window. And it might be a big window, but we are in the house and we have one window and we're looking out that window at the world. And as you look out a window, if you think about what your experience of the world is looking through a pane of glass, you can see a lot. Like you can see a lot that's out there. But a lot of the time, you're having to complete the story in your own head. Like you might see a person walk by, but you can only see them as far as your view will allow you to follow them. So you will make up in your head, oh, they must be going to the grocery store, and you tell yourself the story. You might see the trees move in the wind, and you will tell yourself, oh, that's the wind, but not because you feel it. Right. You will have to finish the story in your own head. And same thing with the flowers or the bees, or you only get a piece of the puzzle and the rest you fabricate from what you knew in the past, from what you've experienced in the past. We are experiencing and living in here. And then when we go through the shift of consciousness, the big difference is that all of a sudden you're going to go out the door and you will be in the garden and you will be looking back at the house and you'll feel the wind and you'll smell the flowers and you will no longer your perceptions will open up to such a degree that you are one with everything that you used to just look at. And so it will be immersive. And the information that you get is we won't have, here's the beauty of it, is I sometimes would worry about, will I get overwhelmed with oneness? Will it be too much? I think a lot of sensitives out there might wonder about that. Is like, how can they handle, you go into Costco is overwhelming. Like, how will they handle oneness? Well, the difference is that we are not processing it in the way that we do right now. When we process through our head, we have to pattern match everything, right? We have to understand and explain it through story. We do so much work in our head. In our heart, emotions, it's like the way and the amount of information that's carried in emotion is so much more and so much easier for us to process. That's what we're built for, right? Is that you will feel and sense and know in a way that is easy. The whole thing about the new reality is that it's meant to be easy. And even getting there, it's not like we have to work to get there. The whole point is to accept celebration, accept that it's easy, to accept the idea that we don't have to struggle. And I know that it's easy to say that somebody who's locked in a struggle right now is going to be like, yeah, I want to do that, but how? How do I get it? Well, it's one little step at a time. And I do my best in the book to explain it, to explain the perception. It's a perceptual shift, like you're saying. And we can do it if you're able to do it a little bit in a day, or a little bit more in a day. Every little bit makes a difference, but it opens you up and it opens you up to creating from the fullness of who you from the best of yourself, which is who you are right now in this moment. This is your best you've ever been.
Yeah, beautiful. And again, another great analogy of you're either looking through the window pane or you're in the garden, because
Yeah.
then we really are getting a sense of our multidimensionality, because all our senses are heightened with the smells and the
You're
feeling.
hearing the ferns singing.
The birds singing. I'm so grateful to be there in your garden, and that's when we step up in our multidimensional experience. And so
Yeah.
it's a really clear analogy. And you also talk in the book about our own evolution as humanity is in parallel to Gaia's evolution, and
Yes.
how Gaia is almost, maybe asserting is too strong a word, but asserting her own sovereignty, that there's a feeling she's been too passive in the past. And
Yeah.
she's now, very creatively and lovingly stepping into her own sovereignty, as we are as well in parallel. Everything.
Yeah.
So I'd love you to talk more about that too.
Yeah, amazing to think about. And I have the angels have talked about for quite a while. They have said that the shift of consciousness is driven by Earth, that Earth herself is going through the shift. And I wasn't always so clear on how all the pieces fit together, but there's a section in the book on the birth of a soul and how a soul is created. And I feel that is a necessary piece to understand how the whole thing fits together, that individual consciousnesses like our own are generated from within the birth of a planet. Like it starts as a planet and then it's part of it. So there's this connection that comes from the planet herself. Not to say that every everybody who's alive right now was generated through this earth. I think we have a lot of guests here right now. We have a lot of people from other star systems and stuff like that, but there's certainly a lot of humans who were born through the consciousness of earth, which is interesting. So yeah, so it's so that's a whole nother section we could get into, which is kind of fascinating. But yeah, so earth going through her own shifting, and really, yeah, like kind of like saying, oh, okay, I'm actually gonna, I'm not gonna take any more guff. Like, stop polluting. I'm done with that, which is okay. That's pretty cool. And I understand that our role as we step into the new consciousness is that we really become the guardians of the earth. That part of our telepathy, that one of the gifts of our telepathy is that it allow the new telepathy we will have is that it it is part of the change that we are moving into, where we're no longer living in a karmic reality. We will be living in a reality where the goal is to learn about ourselves as masterful creators. And we do that through our telepathic connection to the earth and all that is. So we will feel what the earth needs, and we will feel what others need. And then we will also feel what is it about us that would be best suited to fulfill that need. And so we become this it becomes a much more symbiotic and fulfilling relationship to others and through our creative ability. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I've actually used, and for astrologers, this is Chiron in Taurus right now, because Chiron in Taurus is all about being the steward and the guardian for the earth, and
Oh,
this sense of connection. So again, you're expressing the astrology absolutely perfectly. And you've also said in the book that animals will be free because there'll
yeah.
be a much greater depth of connection between us and Gaia, which is thrilling. We're all getting out of our cages and our limitations, which is beautiful.
Yes.
And it feels,
Yeah, there was. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, so it feels, and in the writing of this book, and it's so practical. I mean, the last section of the book is all about the practical steps of, how you can move towards this. But we're right in it now, aren't we? I mean, the astrology is so clear for these times. I mean, banging on about it for the last couple of years that we are right in the crucible of change right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is amazing. I mean, like, yes, our whole lives, we have been the transition team, but now, like, this is like a game's on, and there's so much energy supporting us. And I feel it. I know everybody does. There's so much energy supporting us. And I feel like that energy it is never meant to harm. But like anything, if you resist it, if you try to keep things the way they were, then our own resistance is what is painful. But the energy isn't. The energy is meant to support us, to lift us. But it's almost like trying to resist anything. If you push against a wave, rather than turn around and flow with it, you get a bunch of water up your nose. you know. so so and I feel like the energies that are here to lift us are getting stronger and stronger. That this eclipse cycle, I feel very potently this eclipse cycle. I'm really excited about it because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who see major physical manifestations of change in their lives right now. And I'm so excited for them because I feel like there's a lot of people who are like waiting and waiting and waiting, and they want something big to happen. They want their world to change. And I feel like here's a little window where it just might, this is a window where you might see a major shift in your own life that does put you back on the path of destiny, that does make you feel the way I felt when I realized that my book had always meant to be written, that feeling that my life has continuity and a through line. I feel like that's the kind of experience a lot of people might be having with this eclipse season, depending on where your chart is, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody, but we'll all have our moments,
You're right on your soul mission with that recognition that, this was a kind of
Yeah.
spiral upwards of that previous book. You're right on your soul mission. Of course, eclipses are very fated. It's the only real part of astrology that I think you can say is fated and destined because they're linked with the nodes. And I absolutely agree. We are going to pick up the pace for the rest of this year and see some really big changes. So careful what you wish for, people. It's going to be a lot coming, some big shocks and surprises, but also if we can keep our eyes on that vision of the blank canvas and what are
Yeah.
we creating with love, it could
Yeah.
be, how beautiful can we make it, how loving can we make new earth. How
Yeah.
long can we do? Because once we all get into that state, or more of us get into that state of internal coherence and love and stillness, then we're going to start to see more and more manifestations in our reality of what we're creating as a group.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is so exciting because it's accessible to us right now. I have a couple retreats coming up and I have this little secret wish that I cannot wait to see how they will feel differently. And then last year, I mean, I'm a retreat person. I love doing that because I love being in the energy and it just raises, during over the course of a weekend, it can be just so incredible. But I have a feeling that it will feel different this time. And I cannot wait to see what that is. And there's a section in the book about community and about how we will start to find each other through community and through connection, regardless of where we're located, that we'll start to connect telepathically through community. So coming into community with others, I think and that probably I'm sure is part of the Aquarius energy as well. I think extremely powerful right now. And yeah, so that's definitely some lifting me at the moment. I'm excited for that experience and just to see. I never know, going into these experiences, as part of the joy, I'm trying to stay as much as I can, riding the crest of the wave, not overthinking it, trying to live some of these concepts as much as I can. And so yeah, so I'm just open and looking forward with excitement and unrestrained expectation. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to limit or put it in a box. Just let it be what it's going to be. But I'm anticipating something
Yeah.
different.
With all the beautiful poetic simplicity that you've shared in the book, it really is a workbook on how we step into the miracle zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
We live a
Yeah.
life of miracles.
Yes.
Universe,
Yeah.
show me some miracles today.
Absolutely.
It becomes very magical, but you've done it so clearly. And that's why I think it's so, these huge concepts you've been discussing, the cosmic, their soul, origin of souls and planets, but nevertheless, it's so practically accessible for people. So anybody can read this and get so much from it. So, I
Thank you so
really
much.
recommend it to people. I just devoured it. I just
Oh,
absolutely.
I love it. You know what I love about that is that you don't read a whole book in a day unless it's fun. And the fact that it can be fun to talk about these really big concepts is that just makes me so happy. I can't even tell you. Because it is a thing that, I mean, writing a book is you're working on it, and that is my wish is to make it clear, make it accessible, make it fun, make it because it should be. It is magic, It's learning about the magic of ourselves and really like our untapped power and our untapped that our ability to create through love and how cool it's going to be, and we should be excited. So yeah, so the fact that you felt that way is that totally lights me up.
Really recommend because people can buy it on Amazon. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So it's
And
currently on Amazon, and a lot of people have asked about a audio version. I'm going to work on that. I don't know how to do it yet, but I do want to create an audiobook as well. But it's on Kindle and physical right now, paperback.
fantastic. And how has writing the book changed you, Anne?
I mean, not only has it totally expanded me because of what she taught me through the book. I didn't know all this stuff at the beginning, so that was huge. And I think it led me to trust myself a little deeper. There was this sense of continuity from the work I had done, like to see the connection back to me from 10 years ago. And then here's a cool thing is I recognize I had to go back and reread my old book because it's been so long. I had to go back and look at it again. And I was a different person then. That's 10 years ago. I was a much more constrained back then. I was much more specific and much more measured. I still had a lot of the corporate in me. Like as a matter of fact, that first book, the first version of that book, I wrote it and I was still writing like I was in corporate. It was like business language and it was terrible. And I wrote like 50 pages and I literally had to throw it away and start again and try to find my own voice, and that was that journey was trying to find my own voice. But I realized that the person I was in that book was exactly who I needed to be to write that book because of the fact that I'm describing 7 different basically soul types. I had to be very, very specific and very like I had to be really regimented about how I did it so that it would be clear and distinct. And these days, I'm like way too free flowing for that. these days. I'm like, let's just have fun. So that book came at the right time. And so just that the other piece of it is recognizing how I've changed, that I have become like I used to paint a lot in my 30s. And the struggle I always had was that I was too controlled and too tight in my painting, that I was, I would get into the little teeny tiny and I wanted it to be, I try to be loose, but I could never leave it. I just kept going tighter and tighter and tighter. And I'm willing to bet you that if I painted now, it would not be anything like that. I've changed. And so that was cool, really cool to see. And not to say that who I was before was wrong, but it's cool to see how I have new parts of myself have emerged and I've become more comfortable and more relaxed. It's the same me. I'm just more relaxed with myself. And that's a beautiful feeling. And to acknowledge and to celebrate that, like we're supposed to celebrate ourselves and to celebrate that in myself, to say, okay, I see how that makes my life flow easier. And that makes just the whole journey, it makes it more fun. So I would say that's part of what came for me with the book. And then just the lovely ritual of having that time every morning with Isla, just waking up and being in connection with her. And it would be like every morning was magic, was just magic. So yeah, all of it. It was all fun. It really was. It was a really fun book to write. Yeah.
I'm sure there's another one to come, another option up there.
I don't know, back like when I first got on my journey, I had dreams where there were three books on a table. So, and I don't know, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be another one, but I always knew I was going to write three books. I just didn't know what they were going to be, but I would have dream after dream where there would be a table and there'd be three books on it. So, and this is my third. So, we'll just see. I don't know. Who knows what's next?
But you may not be off the hook yet because said right at the beginning, you're one of the main voices, the main guides for New Earth, and explaining to people what New Earth is and how we get there. And I couldn't recommend this book more highly to do exactly that. So
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank
yeah, it's
you.
been an absolute joy to share with you, Anne. We always have great conversations, and yeah. And anything else you'd like to share or say before we close?
Oh my gosh. I think I would just say that as people, if people choose to experience the book, I think of it as an experience, that there are words here, but there are also frequencies in the book. And I think if someone picks it up, it because every time I wrote the book, I was in channel. And some of it is direct channeling. There's words in there from Isla, and then there's also a lot of it of me interpreting that. But all the time I was writing it, I was in connection. And so the frequencies in the book I think when you pick it up, I think that is why so many people, if you read the comments on Amazon, there are so many comments where people say, I couldn't put it down, that I read it in a day. I think that's why. I think it's because you are being held in that frequency that I was held in for the whole time I write it. And it's a great feeling. So I just would say for people, if they do choose to read it, to give themselves the space to feel the book as well as read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really felt that myself. The language was just beautiful. It just carried me along in waves, actually.
I love it.
So thank you for this gift to humanity. It's such a crucial time in our evolution. It really does feel like a gift for us because everybody can access it and know what to do from right now. So,
Thank you so much,
so
Pam.
God bless you, Anne. Thank you for
Me
all your
too.
service to the world, service to humanity, service to Gaia, and just being for who you are in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pam. It's been awesome to spend time with you as always.
Love to everybody out there. Hope you've loved it too, and you know where to get the book. I'll put Anne's website below as well. Lots of love,
Thank
everybody. Bye.